thank you so much for joining. I will manage people as they trickle in. Super excited for this conversation around intrusive thoughts, but I love the beautiful bow at the end of this that will, encompass a mindful meditation, which I believe is a practice that we can all benefit from. We don't have to be perfect at. And even if you have forgotten at some point, right, to carve that time out for yourself, you've dedicated this time to do it now. So that's really fantastic. Really excited to have Chris Norris back, who's led some other meditations and workshops for us. So this is a really exciting moment. So Chris, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to you, pin you for everybody, and let you do your thing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, welcome everybody. Yeah, so I am Chris Norris and I am here in lovely Thailand. Let me share my screen because I worked so hard on this PowerPoint. It'd be a shame not to use it. So let me see. There we go. Hopefully that looks good. So yeah, that's me. That's the title slide. Chris Norris, MSW intern with Arizona State University. So as I say, this is the part where I tell you about what I'm going to tell you. So this is today we're going to talk. I'm going to do an introduction after this is the next slide, tell you a little bit more about myself. And then we'll talk about intrusive thoughts. We'll talk about how we can differentiate between intrusive thoughts and just everyday thoughts. We'll look at possible meanings behind the thoughts, possible explanations for the reasons we may experience in the thoughts. We'll look for tips to deal with the experience of intrusive thoughts. And then we'll also have a practical exercise at the end, which will be a short, probably 10 to 15 minutes. We'll just play it by ear. Mindful meditation. And we'll try to focus on our thoughts during that meditation, and we'll see the transient nature of thoughts, and that should be a pretty good time. So this is me. Who am I? What do I do? So I am a 24-year veteran of the U.S. Navy. Over a decade of that time in the Navy was devoted to providing direct combat support with naval special warfare, supporting special operators in demanding environments. And now, as I said, that's a picture of me taken not too long ago on the right, where I'm looking a little bit different, probably a little happier, I think. You can see it in my eyes. In Thailand. So I got out of the Navy in December of 2021. I was in Japan before that. I went all the way from Japan to the United States. I drove across the United States with my family, ended up in New York, and then I went from New York to lovely Thailand, where I join you from today. I live in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I'm a father of two beautiful little girls, and I'm married to a lovely girl from Thailand. So I'm also pursuing a graduate education in social work with Arizona State University. I'm a cognitive fitness coach with a company called My Steady Mind. I'm an intern with HearMe, of course. And then I'm also a meditation teacher on Insight Timer and YouTube. And I am, what else do I do? I'm kind of busy for a retired guy, huh? I also work with a nonprofit called Consequence of Habit. So that's me in a nutshell. Oops. Next slide. Okay, so intrusive thoughts. What are they? So these are thoughts that are generated by the mind, right? They're often, the differentiation between like intrusive thoughts and just regular thoughts would be that the thought is unusual for you. It's bothersome. It's distressing, right? Hence intrusive. And it feels really hard to control. These thoughts often seem to like come out of nowhere, and they can occur again and again and again. Examples of these thoughts could be thoughts that are violent in nature, perhaps disturbing as far as sexually graphic in nature, or something that reflects beliefs that a person would feel is abhorrent to them, like it's bad to them, like this is bad stuff, right? So some of the common themes of intrusive thoughts are like harming a loved one, harming oneself, sexually graphic stuff, contracting an illness, maybe the death of a loved one. And these thoughts, when we dismiss them, they often return, and they can really lead to a narrowing of focus on the thought. So that's what intrusive thoughts are. What do they mean? So in short, I kind of would say, like, they may not mean as much as we think they would mean. So these thoughts, they can be indicators of a mental health challenge, such as like obsessive compulsive disorder, an anxiety disorder, or perhaps like a post-traumatic stress disorder. But there's also 6 million people every year experience intrusive thoughts. So it may not mean as much as we think they mean. And they also may not mean that there's something wrong with us, or that underneath all of this facade of me being this nice person or something, that I'm actually a really bad person. They don't mean that. So that's a big myth that's associated with these thoughts, that by having these intrusive, disturbing, powerful thoughts is that we have some nefarious or malevolent intentions within us. And it will eventually, many people think that, well, eventually I'll act on these thoughts. But the truth of the matter is this, is that the thought is intrusive. It's disturbing to you because that's not you. It's actually contrary to your truest feelings, if that makes sense. So when an effort to combat the thoughts, though, like, we have to learn to kind of be with them and be easy with them and allow them to pass, because oftentimes when we push against them and we try to get that out, like, I don't want to think about that, we actually add fuel to the thought and allow the thought to be more powerful and to hang with us longer. So, but back to the thing that, like, you're not your thoughts, the thought is intrusive and disturbing. Like, if I have a thought of intrusive, violent things happening, that's really disturbing to me, because inside I'm actually a really gentle spirit. And that's why it's so disturbing. If I have thoughts of harming myself, that's intrusive and disturbing to me, because I actually love life. But again, if we push against them and we really try to get those thoughts out, we actually add power to it. So today we're going to practice, like, just being with our thoughts and trying to learn to just breathe and let go of control and realize that the thoughts will come and the thoughts will go. And I'm just going to take a quick look in the chat box. I see some chats there. Oh, okay. I don't know. No, I think I'm good. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jorge. Okay, I wasn't understanding what the direct message said. Yeah, sure. You can send those to me later. Thanks. All right. On to slide 6. So these thoughts, where do they come from? Like, what's happening there? So we can just look at these thoughts as any other thoughts. Sometimes they're just like the flotsam and jetsam of the mind, right? They just come and they go. And according to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, that people they need to, like, learn to have a new relationship with the thoughts. And on all the other bothersome, we need to realize that the thoughts can be irrelevant and unimportant. So everyone has weird, bizarre, and socially unacceptable sexual or perhaps violent thoughts. So if we don't give them the attention through struggle or resistance, they'll normally just go away, and they normally dissipate on their own. But just like Carrie Ann Williams talks about, like, any of life's stressors, if big enough, will increase your risk of having intrusive thoughts. Things like in my life, when I went from Japan to America and then on to Thailand, right? That was a lot of stuff going on, right? And I also had a newborn at the time too. She was 6 months old at the time. So I have a 6-month-old traveling around the world, driving across America, trying to get all my ducks in a row in order to make a transition into Thailand. And I was under a lot of stress and a lot of things going on. And that opened me up for intrusive thoughts. So I can tell you, I had intrusive thoughts during that time, thoughts that I was like, whoa, like, where does that come from? And I started to go down that rabbit hole of questioning, like, am I a bad person? Is that really my true nature? But it's not. I know it's not. Like, I'm not that thought. That's just the thought that comes in. Intrusive thoughts are also very common, like with big life changes of pregnancies and giving birth, with females where, the hormone levels and so on and so forth, that type of stuff can open us up for intrusive thoughts. Age matters, the ages of like between 20 and 40, like more I wouldn't say more susceptible, but perhaps unable to skillfully respond as well to intrusive thoughts as someone that's 40 and above. And that just comes with wisdom, I guess, of being around a little bit, 4 decades, and knowing that, thoughts are just thoughts, and I'm not my thoughts, right? So thoughts are going to come and thoughts are going to go. So what do we do if we get these thoughts? What are some steps that we can take? And this is a possible response. And I use this picture here. I use this in my last presentation too. You can tell that the person in the picture is perhaps having a little bit of distress. So we don't know what's going on there, but it looks like perhaps an intrusive thought. So a possible response is that we identify the thought. We identify it comes in and you go, whoa, that's an intrusive thought. Label it in your head. Say, that's an intrusive thought. That's not me. Don't fight it. Allow it to pass. And then don't judge yourself over it. You're not your thoughts. And if thought is intrusive, because it's actually the opposite of your nature. So there's nothing underneath, no nefarious thing or anything like that, right? There's perhaps nothing going on. I will say though, at this point, I don't know if I covered down on that, or I mean, if it's disturbing and it's reoccurring and it keeps happening over and over, I'm a big proponent that it's always okay to take care of yourself. So if you feel as though you want to talk to somebody about those thoughts, absolutely. All right. We're in the mental well-being space. There's nothing wrong with seeking help for intrusive thoughts. Nothing wrong with that at all. And because as I covered earlier, it could be an indicator. It could be an indicator that perhaps OCD or some anxiety or post-traumatic stress disorder or something of that nature. But it also could be, it's just an intrusive thought and they just come and they go. So again, we labeled these thoughts as intrusive thoughts. We remind ourselves that thoughts are automatic and they're not up to me. I don't decide what my thoughts are going to be. I can accept and allow those thoughts into my mind. I don't try to push them away. They just come in and they go right back out. We can like float in these thoughts. We can just have that mindfulness to float and allow the time to pass. Remember that in this instance, like less is more. Less is more. We don't want to put energy into trying to push it away and get out of here. Like that's not me, because that's just going to strengthen it and allow it to stay even longer. So give ourselves some time. There's no sense of urgency for this, even though that, it could be disturbing and such. We can just allow it to pass. We can expect that, they may come back, and that's okay. They may come back over and over, and we can just keep allowing them to pass. And the more skillful of a response that we can have, the less they may come back. We continue whatever we're doing prior to the intrusive thought. So if an intrusive thought came in and I dropped everything and I completely altered my pattern of life due to that thought, again, that's going to strengthen the thought. It's just like anxiety. If I don't do things because of anxiety, I'm actually giving evidence to my mind that, yep, that's really something I need to look at because I didn't do X, Y, and Z after I had that thought. So we continue the best we can doing what we were doing prior to the thought. What we try not to do is we try not to engage in them. We can just allow them to pass. We don't have to invite them in. We don't have to play with them. We don't have to go down that pathway or anything like that. Just allow them to go on by. We don't try to push the thoughts out. We don't try to figure out what they mean. And then we don't try to like see if it's working. Like, is it working? Do I still have that thought? Because every time we give energy to it, it can come back. So that's what thoughts are. Like it's energy. It's a connections within the neurons in your mind. So we try not to give any power to it. And this approach, it may be difficult to apply, but for anyone that just keeps applying it, just like anything, crawl, walk, run, getting that workout into the muscle groups of the brain, it will become easier over time. So within a few weeks of applying these techniques of just allowing thoughts to pass the best we can, we should see some differences. Excuse me. And there's an excellent chance, that these are going to decrease in frequency and decrease in intensity of our unwanted thoughts. Excuse me, I need to take a drink here. Okay. So you guys ready to practice? Are you ready to practice some working with our thoughts? Let me just throw up the references real quick in case anyone was curious. This is where I retrieved all that from and when. So Harvard and the Anxiety and Depression Association of America. And I'm going to actually stop this screen share and I'm going to go, I like to have a gallery view, even though no one has their camera on, and that's okay. Oh, cool. I see somebody joining me from Thailand. Hey, what's up? The skydiver there is from Thailand. Good to see you. So let's get ready to practice just working with our thoughts. So we're just going to do a mindfulness of thought meditation. I know it's pretty early on, but this presentation may not run the full hour. I'll tell you that now because it went a lot quicker than I thought. And that's okay. So if you'd like to join me, if you're in a safe place to do so and you're not driving or operating any heavy machinery, perhaps we can find a comfortable way to sit. Just settling into a chair or a cushion. And if you want to lie down, you can lie down. That's fine too. I try to foster maximum self-determination here. Let's just get comfortable. And if it feels safe to do so, perhaps we can close our eyes. And if not, we can just shift our gaze gently downwards, perhaps taking a soft focus on a spot that's 3 to 4 feet in front of us. Now let's just take an internal selfie. Let's just take a quick selfie of how we're doing. Any sensations that are present in the body. Any feelings that are present in the mind and heart. We're not trying to change anything there. We're just observing. We're not judging. We're not attaching any storylines. We're just taking on the role of the observer. And if you're sitting, you want to sit upright, but not uptight. Your head is over your shoulders. Shoulders are over your hips. Your hands can be in your lap or perhaps on your legs or knees. Palm up, palm down. It's your choice. You're always left in choice. And perhaps now we can bring a focus to our contact points of our sit bones on the chair or the cushion, if we're sitting, or the contact points of your body on the cushion or the ground, if you're lying down. Just bringing a soft focus to the sensations there. Feeling grounded into that platform. Feeling the steadiness. Feeling supported and feeling held. Allow our focus now to drift down to our feet. Observing any sensations that are present in our feet. Observing the sensations of the contact points where our feet touch the ground or the cushion or the chair. Or perhaps there are no contact points. Perhaps your feet are floating freely in the air, and that's okay too. We're just here to observe the sensations that are present. Now let us bring a focus now to our breath. And perhaps we can begin to deepen our breath by inhaling through the nose and exhaling out the mouth. We can do this together. So let us push all our air out our mouth by breathing out of our mouths. So push all your air out, bringing your belly all the way into your spine. Now breathe in through the nose, all the way down into your belly. Hold it for a beat on the top and release it out. Releasing and relaxing, releasing and relaxing. Don't be afraid to make some noise. Good. Again, in through the nose, down into your belly. Hold it for a beat on top and allow it to release out. Releasing and relaxing, letting go, letting go. Good. Let's do a few more on your own, in through the nose. Hold and release. In through the nose. Hold and release. In through the nose. Hold and release. Good job. Allow your breathing now to return to normal. In through the nose and out of the nose. You can feel that relaxation response spreading throughout our body like a warm wave. Perhaps we feel it spreading from our heart space out to our limbs, all the way down into our feet. Feel our hands have begun to soften. Our shoulders drop. Tension we carry in our forehead begins to release, allowing the tension to go around our eyes and our jaw. Being mindful of our posture, we're not slouching, we're still upright, but not uptight. Just carrying a soft focus now back to the breath. Breathing in and out of our nose. Just allowing the body to breathe itself. We're not changing anything. We're not fixing anything. There's nothing to do here. We're just observing. Breathing in, and I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. Let's practice a soft focus on our breath now for 1 minute. The thoughts come. It's okay. We just smile. We smile and we're grateful. We're grateful for this wonderful thinking mind, this storytelling mind. And now we can allow the focus of the breath to fall into the background. And let us allow now for an open awareness. Again, we're not controlling anything. We're not judging anything. We're just open to this experience right here, right now. We can begin to bring a soft focus now to our thoughts. Not judging the thoughts, just observing. These thoughts that come, they can be like leaves falling from the trees. They just come on their own. They decide when they're going to fall, just as the thoughts decide when they come. And we can take the role of the observer, sitting, observing that thought. It's fallen like a leaf from the tree. Yet this thought drops into a stream, a nice gentle flowing stream. It just goes right downstream. And we just watch it pass as another leaf falls, as another thought comes into the stream. We allow it to pass. We're not judging the thoughts. We're not playing with the thoughts. We just allow them to come and allow them to pass. Recognizing the transient nature of thoughts. Perhaps now we can bring a mindfulness of thoughts in silent meditation for 1 minute. Good. Now let us bring a soft focus back to the breath, back to our bodies. Recognizing as we breathe in that we're breathing in. And as we breathe out, we're breathing out. Being in this moment, this wonderful moment. Breathing in and breathing out. With a soft focus on the breath. And allowing that focus to dissolve, we can bring a focus now to our bodies. Perhaps moving our fingers and toes. If that feels good, feels safe to do so. We can perhaps put our arms up overhead. If that's comfortable for you and pain-free. Stretching out. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, allow your arms to drop. Good, let's do that again. Arms up, breathing in. Exhale, allow your arms to drop. Good, one more time. Arms up, breathing in. Exhale, allow your arms to drop. Now let's look to the left. Look to the right. Looking up. Looking down. Looking ahead. And if you close your eyes, you can flutter them open, or perhaps just bring your gaze gently upwards. Cool. I see everyone's still here. So that's good. Thank you for joining me in that meditation. I hope that was useful for your experience. And I'm ready. BJ, we want to take any questions. If people are allowed to unmute, or perhaps they want to turn their videos on, I'm totally cool with that. If we want to open up a discussion, a conversation. And if we're not comfortable having a conversation with the recording, we could always stop the recording if folks don't want to be recorded. I know I don't want my intrusive thoughts recorded. Even though I'm not supposed to be judging myself for it, right?
Yeah, I was actually going to stop the recording at this point, just because I feel like the conversation is a little bit more pointed. People can always reach out if they have additional questions. Give me 1 second.